But if you look at the
Yeah.
global south, the indigenous community, refugees, and the informal workers, they are adapting to the conditions the rest of the world is only beginning to face. If you look at the UNHCR data, again, I'm being very conservative with my numbers. By 2015, we are talking about 216 million people that could be displaced by climate related disaster. So this is not
Yeah.
a future problem. It's happening as we see. So how do we translate those lived local adaptation into the design principles which you have and successfully done that, again, without falling into the trap of which I strongly call extraction or tokenism, as we call it?
Yeah. I think that's a very good question. And I think it is a cultural shift that needs to happen. So I think there's two things to this. I think there's a break from the cultural hegemony that needs to happen. So we need to break the imperialist appropriation that has been happened for the last many hundred years. And then at the same time, we need to distribute power. So basically realizing that in that cultural awakening, we have to realize that you need to give power to people that are not you, and you need to make them actually understand that they have their own agency. And I think one of the ways we do this is that if we dismantle the understanding of how the cultural hegemony is now by saying that we've been told a lie about the capitalist system, there's a different way. And if we get people to understand that I am because you are, that empathy can switch. I think there's a lesson from Nepal that I really love, and that's when the forests were declining, and the state had for many years tried to sort of figure out what to do and conserve it, and they would keep running into problems and were not really effective at doing this because people were logging illegally and sort of exploiting it. And then at some point they said, okay, we're going to give the forest back to all the local communities. It's going to be your responsibility to look out for the forest and to actually take care of it, which is a huge sort of, you would almost never see that today because that's a huge transfer of power to someone else. And within 30 years, what no one had expected happened was that all of a sudden the forest cover went back sort of 30%, more than anything could have ever imagined. And that was because when you give people their own agency and they can see they are dependent on, in this case, it was the forest, they will do everything in their power to make it flourish because basically their needs are based on it. And I think that's the beautiful thing about understanding the redistribution of power is that it's not an act of giving control, it's an act of care.
Mm.
And then when you start to care for others, it cares for you as well. And I think that's really the cultural sort of break we need to understand. And I think for me, Nepal is the best case for understanding that we need to relinquish control. And I think that is something that happens through culture.